Welcome. My name is Chantell, and this is my presentation on early literacy in the Black community. This is for Psychology 230, Black Psychology, with Professor Anna K. Lee. In order to understand early literacy in the Black community, we must first discuss three components of this topic. The first one is the history. Next, we will go on to the challenge and then the solution. Where it all began. In my opinion, the enabling of education of Black people started during slavery. Education of enslaved African Americans was discouraged unless it was for religious purposes. Slaves, obey your masters, was the scripture used in a way to keep the slaves in bondage and to keep them from being rebellious against their slave masters. Um, the wives and children of slave owners usually taught the mulatto or house slaves how to read and write as a form of charity. This practice was highly discouraged. In 1831, due to the Nat Turner Revolt, this was a reason that caused the prohibition to extend into free states for blacks. This was another way to keep them from learning. This was the time and era of the anti-literacy laws. Anti-literacy law. What is an anti-literacy law, you may ask? Well, this was a law to keep Black people from reading and writing. This was a law put in place because it was believed that an educated slave is a dangerous person. In the antebellum South, 10% of the slave population was literate. Anti-literacy laws in many slave states before and during the American Civil War affected slaves, freedmen, and in some cases, all people of color. Some laws arose from concerns that literate slaves could forge the documents required to escape to free states. This would cause the slave masters to lose money, to lose people to do their labor, and would cause more and more slaves to leave the state. Next, we arrive at the challenge. Our challenge is, how do we advocate and promote literacy in our community? The lack of literacy in our community affects Black boys, children in poverty-stricken communities, and children with disabilities. Because of this, our children, Black children, experience the 30 million word gap. The 30 million word gap is that in a 5-year span, children who do not attend daycare or in an early childhood program hear less books than those in child development programs. This means that they hear less words than their white children that they have to compete with once they get into elementary school and to middle school and then on to high school. This also creates another problem because it provides a pathway for the pipeline to prison. This means that children who do not perform well tend to get into more trouble. They tend to have to experience more time in out of school suspension, which causes the OSS rates to increase, which causes those children to have to attend school detention or have to deal with juvenile court systems. Black males at this point have a better chance of going to prison than receiving a high school diploma. All of that brings us to our next point. When literacy isn't encouraged at an early age, it affects society as a whole. If you look at the map presented, you will see the percentage of the population of each state in the United States that has below a fifth grade level of literacy. This means that there are adults who will not and do not understand terminology on important documents. They will not understand laws designed to protect them and will not be able to break generational curses because they are not able to keep up or understand the system that was created to keep them oppressed. Keep your eyes on Mississippi. In Mississippi, 30% or greater do not comprehend over a fifth grade level. That means adults are not reading and understanding better than 11 and 12-year-olds. If you go and look at the population of Mississippi, you do 30% of that. You do the math and see how many people are not reading and understanding as they should. Early literacy is really, really important. I'll give you a moment to take a look at the graphs presented in front of you right now. If you would take a look at the center of the graphs, this is the totals for the Black community. If you take a look, 40% of Black children are performing below basic. This means that they are performing below grade level. 42% are performing on a basic level, and that is one of the highest presented on the chart. If we take a look at the next bar, which is the gray bar, only 17% are performing at a proficient level. This means that they are meeting the standard or exceeding it. Only 1% are considered advanced. And luckily, we're tied with the Hispanic community and the American Indian community. However, if you look over to the right, you will see that white children perform at 6% as far as being advanced. However, Asian or Pacific Islanders are performing 11% as advanced. We have to do more work. We have to do more work for our children. The solution. What are we going to do about all of this? The first thing we could do is encourage reading. We could educate the parents on the importance of literacy, promote literacy and kindergarten readiness. We need to encourage our parents to read to their children, to help them do their sight words, to get them to ask questions and comprehend what they have read or what they have listened to. Another thing we can do is support education programs. We can encourage families to support early education. Send your child to daycare. Send your child to programs that are going to be beneficial to them learning, to them reading, to them counting, to them understanding, to them learning the phonics of each letter. Another great way to support education programs is to join the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. This is a great way for children 0 to 5 years old to receive one book each month up until their 5th birthday or until they're ready for kindergarten. This encourages parents to read to their children and it encourages children to start reading as well. Another thing we can do also is be the village. It's going to take families and the community to help our children be what they need to be going into kindergarten, to be what they need to be in order to be successful in school, going from primary school to middle school to high school, and eventually branching off into college or whatever they choose to be in life. We can also volunteer or financially support these programs. Um, as a volunteer, you are encouraged to go in and read to children. Be a tutor. Teach them what they need to know. Provide financial support if you're not able to be a part of the solution. If you can't be a volunteer, go in and donate. Maybe you could donate a book, or maybe you could donate flashcards to an after school program within the community. Another thing you could do is advocate. Always advocate for the children. Teach parents how to advocate for their children because it's going to take all of us together to work collectively to make sure that our children succeed just as any other community make sure that their children succeed as well. Early literacy is the start of encouraging a change. We must make a difference in the lives of our children. By giving a child a book, you can open up their minds to be whatever it is that they want to be. You can allow them to be the next doctor, the next lawyer, the next teacher. They are our future. The great Frederick Douglass once said, "Once you learn to read, you will forever be free." Let's give our children that freedom. Let's allow them to be whatever it is that they want to be. Thank you.